What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Modern Fatherhood Podcast. It is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and I think it's very important that I take the time to let everyone know that they aren't alone. If you need someone, please reach out to someone. Suicide isn't the answer. There's a suicide prevention line, which I'll put in the bio of this episode. And there are people who will listen. I would much rather hear your story than read about it in your obituary. And I think that goes to say for all of us dads who feel like there's not another way out, that you're not alone. And there are people rooting for you that don't want you to give up. Recently this year, I lost a close friend, Dustin, to depression. And it hit our friend group like a truck. As most of you guys have seen, I wear a Mjolnir, and I'm not shy about my pentagram gauges or my hand tattoo. And it that being said, I'm what they call a Norse pagan. So I worship the Norse gods, and so did he. And our friend group was all very tight knit and close, and that we shared our beliefs with each other. And we had a podcast called the Southern Heathens Podcast, and we still do now. But we had so many plans with him, and after he passed away, we all struggled to continue recording and producing that podcast or even interacting on the page that we had built. And it took a good amount of time, quite a few months, for us to turn back around and realize that that wasn't what he would have wanted. He would have wanted us to keep going and teaching and helping other heathens or pagans learn, and also just to spread the history and knowledge of our beliefs. So we started recording again, and we do so to honor him and to remember him. But that doesn't change the fact that we wish he was here. And it doesn't change the fact that we wish he would have reached out and talked to us. Because even though we talked all the time and we reached out and checked on each other, it was still something that he felt like he had to go through alone. When we were all there for him, he just needed to talk. But instead of talking, it built up and it built up, and he felt like he had no other way out. And now I'll never speak to him again. And I hate that, because I wish I could have one more conversation with him. The suicide rate for men is absolutely ridiculously high. It's even worse for blue collar men. As men, when we grow up, or especially our generations, we grow up and we're told to rub some dirt in it, don't cry. Or you better stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about. And the amount of weight that those phrases and those teachings carry can be unbearable. it's not fair to continue that trend. And I definitely want to talk about the effects of it. As men, we like to bottle up our emotions, or we feel like we can't talk to people, or many of us, when we open up to our partners or spouses, a lot of times it feels like, why did I even talk about those emotions? Or it feels like it was pointless to bring it up because nothing will change. And that can be a very heavy feeling. It can be a heavy load or a heavy burden to bear. This is a hard episode to record. Uh, I personally struggle with depression, and I know a lot of people that struggle with depression. So it's a hard topic to talk about, but it needs to be talked about, especially this month of all months. But we're taught to bottle everything up and not speak on it, or that it's not worth speaking about. And I know many of us feel that what's the point of speaking about it if nothing will change? Or every time we speak up, it feels like it gets thrown back in our face, or they just don't listen or don't understand. And the way you're feeling about those things is valid in many cases, because very few can understand the weight that a father and provider and dad puts on himself. It feels like the whole world's on top of your shoulders every day. And especially right now, with the way the world is, it doesn't matter how much money you make right now. Everyone's struggling. Nothing is cheap. Nothing is working out. It's always getting to the next bill or the next paycheck. And having a baby costs tens of thousands of dollars. And then you have to start paying for that child, and you're paying thousands of dollars then. And you're trying to support your family and keep up with the debt. And it just feels like this endless spiral all the time. And it's so hard. It's so hard. Serious. I see a lot of men the last few days that have commented on some of my TikToks, and they say the reason they don't reach out and speak to someone is because they know better. And it's easy to see that and just instantly know how they feel or why they feel that way. Because I've opened up to people. I've had it thrown in my face, or I've been to the point where it feels like, what's the point in talking about how I feel because it doesn't matter? Or what's the point of talking about how I feel because nothing changes and nothing's gonna change? Or sometimes it just feels like it's easier not to speak on the way I feel because it doesn't matter. Or what's the point of talking about the way I feel because it's just gonna upset other people, and then I'll be the bad guy. And I let it build up. I'm bad about it. I say all these things to you guys, and I'm not saying I'm perfect. I don't do all of the techniques I should. I don't talk the way I should. I don't I'm not the perfect example, but I know these are the things that I should be doing. But you can't let it build up. You have to find someone to talk to. I'm very blessed to have two very close friends, people that I call my best friends and my brothers that I know that I can call anytime and I can talk to them. And I do. I do. I'll randomly video video chat them just to talk. And a lot of times it's just to shoot the shit and to talk and stay connected. And sometimes that phone call can mean all the difference for any of us. Just knowing that someone is thinking about you and, cares about you can make a huge difference. Or maybe it's helping them. You never know what someone's going through, and just that phone call and checking on someone can be the difference between them living today and being gone tomorrow. Depression doesn't make sense. Anxieties don't make sense, but it's a struggle and it's something a lot of us have. I don't know many people that don't struggle with mental health. And I hate saying that because I wish less of us did, but my mind can't comprehend somebody that doesn't have depression or anxiety. I don't I can't understand not having those things because I've had them for so long, as long as I can remember. It's just been something I struggled with. And that's the same for many of the people that I know. And some of us don't take medication. Some people do. That's totally okay. But the first step in having depression is accepting the fact that you have it. It's the hard truth to realize that you have something like that. And most of the time, a lot of time, some people don't realize they have it. But that sense of impending doom with a dark cloud overhead, or just feel that deep, like bone deep feeling that nothing is right and nothing is going to be right. And what's the point of it all? I mean, it's there all the time. So the very first thing is accept that you have depression. The second thing is get help. You don't have to go to a therapist if you're not comfortable with going to a therapist. I guarantee there is someone in your life that has depression. The statistics prove it. That's how many of us have depression. That fucking sucks. But you don't have to go to therapy if that's not what you want to do. But you do have to get help. And I say this to the men and the dads, but especially to the dads, because you have people counting on you. You need to go get help. It starts with reaching out to someone, finding someone you can talk to, getting that weight off your chest, and learning those coping mechanisms that'll help you through the journey of depression because it's a never ending journey. It doesn't go away. It is a battle every day. And it's a battle so many of us lose. So like I said, get help, find someone you can talk to, whether it be a friend who has depression who can walk you through some stuff, whether it's going on YouTube. It's insane the amount of stuff that you can find on YouTube that a therapist would tell you. Like all the things that you're going to pay this therapist money to talk to you about, you can find on YouTube from someone talking about depression and how to help your depression and get through it. So YouTube's a very good tool to use. Ooh. Sorry, just getting off night shift. But yeah, YouTube's a very good tool to use. They're going to tell you, you'll be able to find the tools on there to use that the therapist is going to tell you to do. And in a lot of cases, YouTube's free. So I get it. You want to do the self work yourself? Hell yeah, you can do it. I believe in you. I do it. I have a therapist. I talk to my therapist, especially when I'm struggling and I'm not really sure what the best thing is, or if the techniques and uh, things I'm doing just aren't working and I need help. I know I can text that therapist or email that therapist and I can get a response and I can get help for whatever I'm going through. But there are a lot of books and YouTube on depression. I mean, there's endless resources. You just have to put in the effort to learn them and go out there and learn them and learn the techniques. Um, One of the biggest thing is changing the way you think. So what I mean by that is, say you have a negative thought. It can be something as, I'm trying to think of a good example. It's hard. It's hard to figure it out. You take the negative thought and you take that negative thought and you break it down. So maybe it's, I'm never going to be good enough. And you break it down and you say, I'm good enough for myself. Or you take that thought and you think, well, I'm better than I used to be, or I can be better than I was yesterday. Or when you think that thought, you say to yourself, I am good enough. It's about the affirmative thinking and the positive thinking. You have to do this constantly. It's like an active process in your head at first that you have to work through. And a really good book to explain this, and especially if you're Christian, it's a very good book to read. And I believe it has a movie as well. And it's called The Secret. And I read the book and it literally helped change the way that I think. It's a it's a very good book. Uh I literally lent the copy that I had. I normally carry it in my bag at work, especially whenever I was reading it heavily, because I would read it a few times and I would take notes and I had sticky notes. And one of my coworkers was talking to me, and they struggled with depression and they were struggling with anxiety. And I said, "Okay, I'm gonna bring you this book and I want you to read it." And I brought it to him. And I never got it back. So hopefully it's helping him, or maybe he even passed it on and it's helping someone else. That would be amazing. But it's it's about changing the way you think, and especially changing the way you think about yourself. You can't go and constantly have these negative thoughts about yourself, or you can't keep beating yourself up or degrading yourself in your head while trying to change your life and change who you are. You have to believe in yourself. And that's easier said than done. I I understand. I I definitely understand. But it's something that you have to actively work on. When it comes to feeling like you're good enough, who are you good enough for if not for yourself? Who are you putting in the work for? Because you can't change who you are, and you can't change who you want to be based off of someone else. You have to want to change for yourself. And that is important to say because a lot of us, when we have children, many of us go through a lot of changes, or we put in the self work or the effort. And a lot of us will say, well, we're doing it for our kids. And I understand the sentiment behind it. Yes, we are doing it for our children, but you need to be doing it for yourself because you don't need to put the weight of your self worth or the weight of your struggles or the work that you're putting in and the struggles that come with it. That weight does not belong to your children. And you don't need to put it on them because you're going to fuck up and it's not on your children. And when you fuck up, that weight does not need to go towards your children. All of us screw up, and that's okay. But again, you have to channel everything in a positive and correct direction. Another thing that a lot of people don't realize is ADHD can present itself in a lot of men uh, and a lot of women. People without treated ADHD, a lot of times they will struggle with anxieties and depression. And it's just because of how fast their brain works. And anxiety is a normal thing, and depression is a normal thing. And so many people never know they have ADD or ADHD, and they only know about how they're feeling with their depression and emotion, or how they feel like they can't get anything done, or it's so overwhelming, and there's just so much to do, and you can never finish your tasks and everything like that. And in a lot of cases, a lot of people struggle with that, and it's ADHD and ADD. And I know so many men that it's their hormones. Your hormones could have a big deal with it too. There are many men that have low testosterone or other hormone imbalances that struggle with depression and are SSRIs or SSSRIs, however many S's, which are just to say they're on antidepressants and anti-anxiety meds. I know so many of them that get onto testosterone replacement and start to actively work on getting in better shape and working on their health. And they get off of SSSRIs or SSR, whatever the hell it is, and they get off those medications because when your hormones aren't balanced, your body doesn't work properly. Your thought process isn't going to be proper. And when we talk about low testosterone, we talk about the anxiety, the depression, the brain fog, the nostalgia, the low energy, the low drive, the low sex drive, and the lack of motivation. And that can be the case for a lot of men. I know a couple people were replying back like, I've thought about how I need to get my blood work done, but I just haven't done it yet. Or they didn't know how. And I posted a video about that on where I think they should go, um, which would be matrix hormones, um, because of the issues that can present itself with trying to go through a primary care or urologist, but we can do a whole episode on TRT and the benefits of TRT, but that's not the point of the episode today. But your health can be a big part. I'm saying all this because your health can be a big part of your depression too. Another thing that will help is getting the proper sleep. You have to get a certain amount of sleep. And I'm a hypocrite when I tell you this because I never sleep as much as I need to. I get off night shifts and I'll just stay awake and push through so I can spend time with my kids. Or I'll plan stuff to where I have to stay up uh, while I'm on night shifts, even though I know I need to rest. And instead of sleeping, 6 or 8 hours, I'll sleep an hour or maybe two and things like that. So I'm a hypocrite when I tell you that. But getting the proper amount of sleep, having a good sleep pattern, which I also can't speak much on because I'm a shift worker. But that's also just, I mean, it's my shift schedule. So, I mean, it's not like there's anything I can do about it. But having a normal sleep pattern, getting out in the sun and having that natural sunlight. First thing in the morning, you wake up, get some sunlight, walk outside, have your coffee on the porch, you know, sit and read your Bible if that's what you do in the morning, or sit and, while you're waking up and just getting ready for the day, get into some sunlight and scroll and watch your phone if that's what you're going to do. Read your Havamalls if that's what you want to read, but get the sunlight. So many people are vitamin D deficient and they have no idea, but they're definitely not outside enough to not be vitamin D deficient. And most people generally are at this point because a lot of people's lives are outside. And I would say vitamin D is a good thing, a good vitamin for everyone to take. But yeah, having a good sleep pattern, getting that sun, and the sun first thing in the morning is also for your circadian rhythm. If I'm saying that right, I hope I am, because whenever I said that, I think of cicadas. So I don't think I'm saying that right. You know what I'm trying to say though. But having that rhythm in your body properly aligned is important. The food you eat can have a massive effect in the way you're feeling mentally, which is crazy to say, but it's also true because when you're taking better care of yourself, and you're working on your health and you're getting healthier and you're working on your body, it does improve your mood and overall image of yourself, which helps your mental health. Um, but certain processed foods and things like that have been linked to mental health struggles. And if you're in America, all of our food is shit and processed. So that's a hard one. And right now, with the economy be so shit, it's a very expensive one to remedy as well. I'm saying that to you as someone that has to eat fast food all the time and is like taking bread off McDoubles, so I'm not eating a bunch of trash bread. And I also drink Red Bull in front of you guys like every episode. So I'm not like the perfect example of this. As a matter of fact, I'm not a good example of that at all because I can't afford to eat unprocessed foods all the time because there's just everything's processed here. That's why you hear about people that go on vacation to Europe and they eat pasta like every day and bread and drink wine and stuff, and they're on the vacation or they move there and they just start losing weight. And that's a big thing with it, which is freaking crazy to think about. Ooh. Damn, sorry. But yeah, watching what you eat, changing the way you eat, changing your eating habits, working on getting back into better shape, or getting in better shape with your health can make a massive difference in the way you feel. And especially with depression and anxiety, it's more about the mental image too, but you do just feel better. The other things that's important is having a hobby, having something you can go do. I know most of us as dads and dudes, we don't working blue collars, we don't really have time for hobbies. Um, I know I gave up my dream slash hobby a long time ago, which for me it was drums and music. But I would argue don't give up the dream or the hobby. You know, I gave up mine, and it's one of the biggest things I regret. But recently, I borrowed somebody's electric drum set because I still have my double bass pedal, and I'm just gonna start playing again because I miss it so much, and it was something that brought me happiness. And I say all that just to say, don't give up on your dreams or your hobbies because that can be a huge part of the happiness you feel. And life's hard enough as it is. I didn't go to the parts store. And lastly is if you have depression and you're struggling with it, I would urge you to actually get professional help, especially if it's bad enough that it might be a case where you need to take medication. Medication does not have to be a permanent thing, and you should not be ashamed of taking depression meds or anxiety meds because you have to remember that they are a tool to be used. That is what they are. There's no shame in taking it. It is a lot of people feel ashamed whenever they say they have to take antidepressants or anti-anxiety meds. And a lot of people, I I understand why because it's such a hard topic and a lot of people don't talk about it. So I do understand at the same time, but it's a tool for you to use to get better. And being depressed and having depression is an illness and it is a disease and it is one that there is no cure. It's definitely one of the ones where they can only treat the symptoms, you know what I mean? But you use the tool while you work on getting better yourself. And use yeah, you use the tool while you're getting better yourself. And it's it's important to remember that that is all it is. And also, you don't have to tell people you're taking depression meds. Just take the motherfuckers. It's a pill. Once, maybe twice a day. Builds up in your system and it starts helping you. You don't have to take it forever. Just use it and put in the work and learn how to manage your depression. And if you do have to take it forever, oh well. There's nothing wrong with that. I would much rather you have to take some pills every day than lose my friend. Your kids would much rather you have to talk to a therapist and take some pills than lose their dad or their mom. Because some moms listen to this, which is cool. All of us would collectively rather you do some of the things that I talked about or get professional help than lose their friend or their dad or their partner. As a dad, you're obligated to do these things. You can't fail your kids and you can't give up. You can't lose the battle to depression, in my opinion, because I know my life would be completely different if I didn't have kids. Because before I had kids, I didn't think I would make it this long. Growing up, I didn't think I'd make it past 18. And then I got to 18 and I was like, oh shit. I was like, I guess I won't make it to 21. And then I had my son, and it went from those thoughts to, okay, now I have someone I have to take care of. And especially after I had to fight for custody, it was, that's my boy and I will always be here for him. So it's not a battle that I will ever lose. I will not lose my fight with depression. I lose the fight with anxiety though. I will say that. There are plenty of times where my anxiety is so high that I don't do half the things that I want to. And I say that as like going to the mall and things like that. I hate crowds. Um, I'm an extroverted introvert, if that makes any sense to any of you guys. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to me, but I still struggle with those things. But depression, I'll never lose the battle because I know that I have three little kids that are rooting for me, and I look forward to me coming home and walking through that door every day. I know that I have people depending on me. I am the provider for my household, so I have responsibilities that come with that. There are bills waiting to be paid. I have to put food on the table. I have to make sure they have their clothes, their food, the clothes, the food, the shoes, the toys, all those things. And that's my job. And it's a job that I undertook, and it's a job I will not fail. I will struggle, especially right now, but I won't fail. All that is to say, don't give up. It's gonna be okay. Today is just a hard day. Tomorrow can be better, but you have to make sure that you're thinking about it in that way. Like today is just a hard day. Tomorrow will be better. And you have to make sure you're putting the work in and doing the steps to make it better. Like I know when my depression's really bad, I get outside, especially as a pagan. I get outside, go for a walk, go for a hike, do something of that nature. It can completely change so many things just by getting outside and going to the park or going for a walk through the woods. And words can't really describe how therapeutic it is, but get outside, put the effort in. If you struggle with depression, reach out to someone for help. Reach out to the suicide prevention hotline and keep your head up. It's gonna be okay. This is a heavier episode. I can't really joke around, and I can't really get fired up in here about it because it's such a heavy topic for me, especially after losing such a close friend so recently. Um, But like I said, I wish he would have reached out. And I have other friends that I wish they would have reached out. So I'm telling you to reach out. My inbox is open. If you need someone to talk to, please reach out. If you don't feel comfortable messaging on TikTok, you can reach me at modernfatherhoodpod@gmail.com. On the Facebook page, I'll answer there. I'll answer literally anywhere, but you're not alone. There are thousands of dads supporting each other on TikTok right now. Thousands and thousands of dads, all just supporting one another. You're not alone. And on the days that you really struggle, just look at your kid and say, I love you, and hold them close. You're that kid's entire world. You are their superhero. Be your own superhero too. On that note, I'll talk to you guys next time. Keep showing up. We'll see you later.